galaxy's greatest mistake for centuries, Earth had remained unnoticed by the galaxy's mightiest civilizations. To them, Earth was nothing more than a small, insignificant planet buried in a corner of the vast universe. Its inhabitants, humans, were primitive and seemed to lack any kind of power or advanced technology. The galaxy's most powerful empires, including the vicious Carathians and the mighty Drakons, paid Earth no mind. They saw the planet as weak, vulnerable, and easily exploitable. But Earth had a secret that no one, not even the most advanced alien species, could have imagined. It wasn't weakness that had kept Earth silent. It was something far more dangerous: patience. The Carathians, known for their brutal conquest of entire star systems, had always believed that Earth would be an easy target. They had conquered countless worlds, wiping out entire species without a second thought. They treated planets like Earth as mere stepping stones in their quest for domination. It was simple for them: take what they wanted, destroy what stood in their way, and leave behind a trail of chaos. They had no reason to believe that Earth was any different. When the Carathians' leaders decided to make their move on Earth, they sent their most powerful fleet, expecting little resistance. The attack was scheduled, the fleets prepared, and the military might of the Carathian Empire was set to make quick work of the so-called primitive planet. They underestimated the strength of Earth's resolve, thinking it would be just another conquest to add to their long list. Earth will be ours in a matter of days. Carathian General Arkin sneered to his commanders as they watched the planet from their warship. The vast blue and green world seemed peaceful, almost unaware of the incoming storm dot, but Arkin's confidence was built on arrogance. He knew nothing of what had been happening on Earth, behind the scenes. He knew nothing about the hidden power that had been growing, quietly and steadily, beneath the surface. The humans had been biding their time, gathering strength, waiting for the right moment to strike back Dot as the Carathian fleet approached Earth. Their ships cut through space like sharks hunting prey. Massive warships, each one capable of wiping out entire cities with a single blow, began to descend upon Earth's atmosphere. Their weapons were locked, their energy shields primed, and their invasion plans were already set in motion. They thought they were unstoppable. "Prepare to engage," General Arkin ordered, his voice filled with smug confidence. His fleet was just moments away from entering Earth's orbit. The humans would fall without a fight. They always did, but something unexpected happened as the Carathian ships entered the Earth's atmosphere. They detected strange energy readings. Unusual, unexplainable signals began flooding their communication systems. Arkin, still focused on the attack, barely noticed the subtle warnings. His eyes were glued to the planet below, convinced that the Earthlings would cower in fear at the sight of his fleet. The first sign of trouble came when one of the Carathian warships sent a message to Arkin, warning him of a strange power emanating from Earth. Arkin dismissed it immediately. "Ignore it," he ordered. "It's nothing. We're already in position. Earth is ours." But the signals kept coming, growing stronger with each passing moment. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The Carathian fleet had underestimated the patience of Earth. For centuries, the people of Earth had watched, waited, and learned. They had kept their secrets hidden. They had observed the galaxy's mighty civilizations, seen the rise and fall of empires, and waited for the moment when they would finally reveal their true strength. They had waited for the galaxy to make the mistake of underestimating them. And now, that moment had arrived. Arkin's fleet was not prepared for what Earth had in store. The energy signals began to grow so powerful that they overwhelmed the Carathian communication systems, causing a temporary blackout. The warships faltered as their instruments went haywire, unable to process the strange signals. One of the smaller Carathian ships, the Varnax, suddenly lost power. its systems fried by a mysterious force. "What is happening?" shouted its captain, panic spreading through his voice, but no one could answer. No one knew what was causing the disturbance. It was as though Earth itself had awoken, and with it, a power far beyond anything the galaxies mightiest had ever seen dot in the midst of all the chaos. Arkin realized something that made his blood run cold. He had made a terrible mistake. They had all made the same mistake. They had assumed that Earth was weak. They had assumed that its silence meant weakness. But they were wrong. Earth had been silent. Yes, but it was the silence of something. Waiting, watching, and preparing. Now, Earth was ready. And the Carathian fleet had just walked straight into the trap. As Arkin's fleet began to panic, strange glowing structures began appearing across Earth's surface. Massive towers, hidden deep underground for centuries, were suddenly activated. Energy pulses shot up into the sky, visible even from space. Earth's once quiet landscape had transformed into something powerful, something lethal. The Carathian fleet tried to regroup, but it was too late. Earth was no longer a defenseless planet. It had been silent because it was waiting for the galaxy's mightiest to make the ultimate mistake. And now, the galaxy would learn the truth. Earth was far. More than anyone had ever imagined. The humans weren't weak. They were simply waiting for the right moment to show their true power. And the galaxy's greatest mistake was thinking Earth was an easy conquest. The storm was coming. And no one would be ready for what Earth had in store. This introduction sets the stage for the upcoming action and builds suspense. It keeps the audience engaged by revealing that Earth's silence was not weakness, but a clever strategy. The galaxy's mighty are now in for a surprise they weren't prepared for. The awakening of Earth's hidden might as the Carathian fleet hovered ominously above Earth. Something extraordinary was happening below. What had seemed like a peaceful, unprotected planet moments ago was now trembling with power. The lights in the cities flickered and pulsed as though the very core of Earth itself had come alive. Energy lines, deep underground for centuries, began to hum to life, sending ripples of invisible force throughout the atmosphere. The Carathian warships, with their advanced technology and ruthless might, were not prepared for what they saw next. On Earth, vast networks of forgotten machinery, buried beneath the planet's surface, activated one by one. Massive underground bunkers, once thought to be nothing more than historical relics, began to pulse with unimaginable energy. The ground itself seemed to tremble as if it were waking from a long slumber, stirring with a hidden power that had been waiting for the right moment to emerge. General Arkin, watching from the bridge of his flagship, the Kraken, narrowed his eyes in disbelief. "What is this?" he muttered, his voice filled with a growing unease. His eyes darted between the strange signals appearing on his console in the blue planet below. This wasn't supposed to happen. Earth was nothing more than a primitive world, far too backward to possess such advanced power. Yet, here it was in energy so raw and primal that it could shake the foundations of their galaxy. Before Arkin could order his fleet to respond, the signals intensified, flashing across his control panel. His officers scrambled, trying to make sense of the data. "General, the energy readings are off the charts. We can't interpret the frequency. The cosmic reckoning the Carathian retreat was one of his technicians no one could have predicted. Ships, once confident in their superiority, were now crippled, helpless before Earth's unexpected onslaught. It wasn't just a battle of firepower, it was a cosmic reckoning. The empire that had crushed countless civilizations was now being humbled by a planet it had dismissed as nothing more than a speck in the galaxy. The retreating ships sent waves of confusion throughout the Carathian fleet. Their most experienced commanders struggled to make sense of the situation. How had Earth, a supposedly primitive planet, turned the tables so quickly? The sheer scale of Earth's hidden power had left them disoriented and unsure. But even in their confusion, they knew one thing. This wasn't over. Earth had only begun to fight. General Arkin, standing at the helm of the Kraken, was shaken, his mind racing to formulate a new strategy. His fleet was falling apart, but the Carathian Empire had never backed down from a challenge. He clenched his jaw, a dark thought brewing in his mind. I underestimated them, Arkin muttered, staring out into the void where Earth's blue and green surface gleamed defiantly. But that will not happen again. We will crush them. While the Carathians scrambled to reorganize, back on Earth, a different kind of realization was dawning. The human race had always known of their planet's secrets, its dormant powers that had remained untouched for centuries. But the sudden eruption of that power had shaken their very understanding of their own world. Dr. Lyra Hayes, who had led the research into Earth's ancient technologies, stood before a holographic map of the planet, tracing the energy lines that now ran like veins across the surface. Each pulse of energy sent from the depths of Earth had revealed something extraordinary. The planet itself was not merely a battleground, it was a weapon. A weapon capable of altering the course of cosmic history. But what Dr. Hayes and her team hadn't anticipated was that activating this weapon would attract more than just the Carathian Empire. The galactic network was vast, and Earth's actions hadn't gone unnoticed. The strange energy signatures now reverberated across the galaxy, reaching the ears of powers far more ancient than the Carathians themselves. This isn't just about Earth anymore, Dr. Hayes whispered, her voice filled with awe and a hint of fear. We've just sent a message to the stars, and I think we've woken up something far worse than we ever imagined. Out in the galaxy, far beyond the Carathian Empire's reach, other civilizations began to stir. Beings far older than the Carathians, and far more powerful, had sensed the disturbance Earth's awakening had caused. These were the architects of the void and ancient race, whose motives and desires remained a mystery to most of the galaxy. The architects had long been interested in Earth, watching it quietly from the shadows of the universe. Their arrival wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And now, with Earth's mysterious power revealing itself to the cosmos, they saw an opportunity to act. The first signal from the architects was silent, almost imperceptible. Yet, in the deepest corners of the galaxy, the Carathians felt its weight, a chill that sent shivers through their very bones. The architect's warning was clear: stay away from Earth. Their message was simple, direct, and terrifying. Back on Earth, Dr. Hayes and her team had no idea what was coming. They were too focused on the Carathian threat to notice the subtle shifts in the fabric of the galaxy. But it didn't take long for them to realize they were no longer just fighting an empire. They were challenging something far more terrifying. As the Carathian fleet regrouped and prepared for a second strike, a new kind of storm was brewing in the depths of space. The architects had begun to mobilize, their massive ships appearing like dark shadows in the distance, creeping closer to Earth. Unlike the Carathians, the architects did not see Earth as a target to be conquered. No, they saw it as something else, something far more valuable. Their ships moved at the speed of thought, bending the very fabric of space-time to close the gap between them and Earth in an instant. And as they approached, their influence began to stretch out into the galaxy, sending ripples that disrupted the Carathian fleet once more. "General, we have a new problem," one of Archon's officers said, panic rising in his voice. It's them, the architects." Arkin's face turned pale as he heard the name. The architects were more than just a rumor. They were real, and they were now coming for Earth. "We need to prepare for war, but not against the Carathians," Dr. Hayes said, her mind racing as the revelation hit her. "The architects are something we've never faced before. We can't fight them with what we have. We'll need something more." As Earth's hidden powers continued to awaken, the realization that the battle was no longer just about survival began to set in. Earth wasn't just fighting to protect itself. It was about to face a cosmic reckoning, a war for the very soul of the galaxy, and the stakes were higher than anyone could have ever imagined. The architects were here, and they weren't the only ones watching. This part introduces the looming threat of the architects, a mysterious and powerful race that has been monitoring Earth from the shadows. The chapter increases the stakes and introduces a new element of suspense, as Earth not only faces the Carathian threat, but also the impending arrival of a far more dangerous force. It keeps the audience on edge, building intrigue about the unknown entities watching Earth. The hidden legacy of Earth. A weapon awaits. Architects' presence was not the only threat Earth faced. As Arkan and the remaining Carathian fleet scrambled to devise a counterattack, Dr. Hayes stood at the heart of the Earth Defense Network, her mind racing. The sudden, unexpected appearance of the architects had shifted the battle in ways she couldn't fully comprehend. These beings were not like the Carathians. They weren't interested in domination. They were far older and far more patient. And from the moment they had sent their warning, it became clear that Earth's awakening had triggered something deeper, something far beyond human understanding. But Dr. Hayes knew one thing for certain. Earth's secrets, its true power, had only just begun to reveal themselves. The strange energy surges, the pulsing lines across the planet's surface, they were all signs of something ancient stirring deep beneath the crust. And those ancient forces were Earth's last hope. We've only seen the surface of what Earth can do, Dr. Hayes said, her voice a mixture of awe and fear. The true weapon, it's hidden. And I think it's waking up now. Her words echoed in the control room. The rest of her team looked at each other in confusion. What weapon was she talking about? Earth had always been seen as a planet of untapped potential. But this was something different. We have been following the wrong trail all along. Dr. Hayes continued, now turning to the data streams on the holographic screen. We thought these energy surges were just a defense mechanism, a warning system. But what if they are the key to something much greater? Something older than the Carathians? Older even than the architects? Her team was silent. No one had ever considered this possibility. The truth was that Earth had never been just a passive player in the galaxy. Long before humans had walked its surface, before civilizations had risen and fallen, Earth had been a part of something far greater. An ancient race, long extinct, had seeded the planet with incredible technologies so powerful that they defied even the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. These were not just weapons. They were tools of creation and destruction, capable of reshaping the fabric of reality itself. And it was clear now, the architects had known about these technologies for millennia. That's why they had watched Earth so carefully, waiting for the right moment to make their move. The awakening of these forces was a signal, one they understood. All too well. The pulse of energy rising from the Earth intensified, spiraling into the atmosphere. It was as though the planet itself was shaking off the dust of ages, preparing for something extraordinary. Dr. Hayes didn't need to be told. She knew what this meant. Prepare the Omega Protocol, she ordered. The Omega Protocol was an ancient failsafe, a series of coordinates buried in Earth's forgotten archives, hidden in the most secure locations by the earliest civilizations. It was a weapon unlike anything humanity had ever seen. But unlocking it was a challenge. The coordinates, once activated, would trigger a cascade of events that would lead to the release of Earth's most powerful weapon, capable of unleashing destruction on an unimaginable scale. But there was a catch. The weapon wasn't just a weapon of war. It was a weapon of balance, a force that could either save or destroy everything. It was the planet's ultimate defense mechanism, and only a select few knew of its existence. We've got one shot at this, Dr. Hayes said. If we fail, the architects will finish what they started, but if we succeed, we'll turn the tables. We'll make sure Earth stays in control of its fate. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the Carathian fleet had regrouped. Their initial confidence had been shattered, but their resolve remained. General Arkin's mind raced as he watched the planet below. Earth's unexpected counterattack had cost them dearly, but he knew the Carathians weren't a race that would back down from a challenge. Send the message to our allies in the galaxy, Arkin said. The architects may be a threat, but we will not let them take Earth. If we have to fight alongside them, so be it. Earth will fall. It's only a matter of time. The Carathians were desperate. They realized they could not win alone. But the architects were not allies. They were far more dangerous, far more inscrutable than anything the Carathians had ever faced. Their decision to team up with the architects would be one that would either secure their victory or lead them to. Ruined back on Earth, Dr. Hayes prepared for what would come next. The Omega Protocol had been activated, and the countdown had begun. The energy pulses across the planet grew stronger, more concentrated, as though Earth itself was taking a deep breath, preparing for the final push. As the planet's defenses were reinforced, strange phenomena began to occur. The oceans shifted, continents trembled, and the skies darkened with an unnatural storm. The atmosphere itself seemed to warp, twisting and bending in ways that defied physics. Earth's hidden weapon was not just a tool, it was an entity, a consciousness that was now fully awake. And then, without warning, a massive surge of energy shot up into space, directed at the approaching architects. For the first time, the architects' ships hesitated, their advanced technology unable to comprehend the energy they were now facing. The force wasn't just a weapon, it was a direct challenge. The architects understood. And for the first time in centuries, they hesitated. This is not the Earth we knew, one of the architects muttered, his voice barely audible, yet filled with centuries of ancient wisdom. We've underestimated them again. The message from Earth had been clear. We are not weak. We are not afraid. But what neither the architects nor the Carathians understood was this. Earth's weapon was not meant to destroy. It was meant to rebalance. It was a force that had the power to reshape the galaxy itself, to force all who dared to challenge Earth to reconsider their actions. And with that, a true battle for the galaxy was about to begin. Earth was no longer just a planet in the corner of space. It was the beating heart of a cosmic power, one that could no longer be ignored. This part takes a unique turn by introducing Earth's hidden, ancient power, the Omega Protocol, and the idea that Earth has been preparing for this moment for eons. The awakening of this power shifts the entire balance of the story. Now, Earth is not just defending itself. It's revealing a cosmic force that could alter the fate of the galaxy, challenging both the Carathians and the architects in ways no one expected. The suspense continues to build as we move toward a larger, more unpredictable conflict. The architect's dilemma. Galaxy on the brink. The cosmos held its breath as the architect's fleet began to pull back. The bright, massive ships halting in their pursuit of Earth. In the cold emptiness of space, their vessels hung like dark stars, silent, immobile, as though pondering the enormity of what had just occurred. A message had been sent, loud and clear. Earth was not what the galaxy had assumed it to be. And now, the architects were forced to confront a troubling truth. They had made a grave mistake. In the high command of the architects' fleet, a council of the oldest and wisest beings gathered. The council was made up of entities whose minds stretched across eons, their understanding of the universe far beyond anything the Carathians or the humans could comprehend. They had seen civilizations rise and fall, watched the stars burn out and new ones form. But nothing had ever shaken them like this. What have we awakened? One of the architects asked, his voice deep, resonating through the chamber. "We have observed Earth for millennia, watching from the shadows, assuming its power would never reveal itself. And now, the planet has unleashed a force greater than even we predicted." Another architect, taller and more commanding than their foe, Rest, stepped forward. "This power is not merely a defense mechanism. It is something far older, something that could rewrite the fate of the galaxy itself. Earth was never meant to be a passive player. It has always been the heart of a force that we dared not fully understand." There was silence. The others pondered the gravity of the situation. The architects had known of Earth's potential, but they had believed it to be dormant, just a small, unremarkable planet. Now, the reality was different. Earth was far from the quiet, primitive world it had seemed, and in their arrogance, they had miscalculated. "We cannot ignore this any longer," the architect leader continued, his voice full of resolve. "The Carathians may not be the true threat. Earth's emergence has shown us that there is more at play here. The planet may become a key player in a new cosmic order, one that we may not be able to control." But even as they deliberated, a new wave of uncertainty began to creep through the ranks. The Carathians, still reeling from their disastrous first attack, were not about to back down. They had made their decision. Earth was a prize too valuable to let slip through their grasp. General Arkin, now more determined than ever, was preparing for a second strike. The architects, however, were no longer certain about Earth's fate. They had seen its strength, its ancient power, and now the stakes were much higher than a simple invasion. Back on Earth, Dr. Lyra Hayes and her team worked tirelessly to harness the power the planet had suddenly revealed. As the Omega Protocol neared its activation, an unsettling truth was dawning upon them. Earth was not simply awakening, it was evolving. The energy pulses that had erupted from the planet's core were not just defensive mechanisms. They were evolving, adapting, reaching out across the stars, communicating with forces in the universe far beyond human understanding. Earth was sending out a signal, not just to the Carathians, but to anyone who was listening. "We've done it," Dr. Hayes said, her voice tinged with disbelief. "The weapon is activated, but there's more. The planet is. It's adapting to the cosmic forces around it. It's building something. Something new." Her words sent chills through her team. They had always suspected that Earth's power was not just an accident of nature, but now it was clear. Earth had been designed to be more than a mere planet. It was a living, breathing entity with the capacity to alter the course of the galaxy itself. But with this newfound strength came a dilemma. Would Earth choose to defend itself, to fight for its survival, or would it seek to extend its influence and challenge the galactic order as a whole? The ancient weapon they had unleashed could reshape the galaxy, but who would control it? As the architects debated their next move, a signal from the Carathians broke through the void of space, interrupting their deliberations. General Arkin's voice was clear, filled with the pride of an empire unwilling to accept defeat. "Know what you've seen," Arkin declared. "You saw Earth's power for what it is. But don't mistake this for something we can't overcome. We've been conquering worlds for millennia. We will not be defeated by this surprise. We will finish what we started." But the architects, having once believed the Carathians to be the galaxy's ultimate force, now looked at their message with growing concern. They were no longer sure of their old alliances. The Carathians, with all their military might, had failed against Earth's awakening, and now the architects knew they had to tread carefully. The power Earth had unleashed was not something they could control, and they weren't sure if they even wanted to. "I don't think the Carathians fully understand what they're up against," one of the architects murmured, his ancient face filled with the first hints of doubt. "Earth is not just a battlefield. It is the fulcrum upon which the balance of the universe may now rest." If we engage with it directly, we risk tipping the scales in ways we may not be able to reverse. The architect leader paused, then spoke with finality. We must assess Earth's true intentions. This battle, this war is not simply between us and the Carathians. It is a war for the future of the galaxy. Earth has awakened, and the galaxy will never be the same. Back on Earth, the skies darkened as strange phenomena continued to occur across the planet. People, unaware of the cosmic forces at play above them, felt the tension in the air. The ancient weapon, once thought to be a myth, was becoming more than just a symbol of Earth's power. It was becoming a living force, one that might very well be the key to the galaxy's future. And as the forces of the Carathians and the architects prepared for their next moves, one thing was clear. Earth had made its move. The galaxy's greatest players were no longer the Carathians or the architects. They were Earth and its people, the ones who had been underestimated for so long. The question was no longer whether Earth could survive. The question now was, what would Earth become? This part deepens the story by introducing the growing uncertainty among the architects, who had once been the dominant force in the galaxy. It also raises the stakes higher, showing that Earth's newfound power is not just a defensive weapon. It's a game-changer that could alter the future of the entire galaxy. The tension between the Carathians, the architects, and Earth continues to build as the mystery surrounding Earth's true potential unravels.